This charity shop has survived COVID, the recession, even fire. But sadly, all good things come to an end, and I guess it's sad to say, it's the end of an era.
Videogames room! Road trips! Night game hunting!
Hello again folks and welcome back to another video, and yes, it is the end of an era. What has been my local charity shop for nearly a year and a half will no longer be my local charity shop. I have changed jobs and I will no longer be working in Long Stratton where this charity shop is based, and I am going to miss it. Obviously I'll be able to visit every so often, but I was visiting this charity shop once or twice a week. I have scored so many amazing pickups at this charity shop and I'm going to be so sad to see it go. But fear not, there's still loads of charity shops in my local area and we're going to be hitting them all up in this week's episode, as well as heading to my new hunting ground, which is, drumroll please, back in the city of Norwich. That's right, I'll be working again in the centre of Norwich, so I'll be hitting up the massive amount of shops I have to look through in Norwich. But before we head off into all of these charity shops, just to remind you folks, if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button and please subscribe, as I put new videos out every Saturday live at 5, as well as bonus content throughout the week, and I don't want you folks missing any of that great content. Now, let's get hunting. Here we go then, one last time to a charity shop which has literally stood the test of time. This place literally survived a fire which ravaged 2 or 3 buildings next door. I've picked up so many amazing things from this charity shop over the past year and a half, and it will be a shame to see it go, but let's see one more time if it can deliver the goods. So let's head inside and see what's on the shelves. And the best thing about this store, they normally have a really good range of stuff. As you can see here, we got some Xbox 360 games, some original Xbox, some PlayStation 2, that one lone Xbox One game, which is sadly Fallout 4, which I've obviously got in my collection, has no trade-in value, some PlayStation 3 games, just a little bit of everything, and all the games here have set prices. Something is about £2 for old gen and £2.50 for 360 and PlayStation 3. Here's something I don't see very often here, is Nintendo DS games. I don't see them very often. Sadly, there's nothing really that exciting here, which is a bit of a shame, but it's good to see something different, even if this is one of the last times we're visiting this store. One of the best things about this store is how often I find decent clothes in here. I know it's not exactly what we're looking for, but if I find a Fred Perry shirt in decent condition, in my size, for £4, you know I'm going to pick it up. And even if you don't wear clothes like this, they are really good to flip on eBay. So, you know, don't sleep on clothes in charity shops, keep an eye out. The most important thing to do though is ask if they have games in the back. I've got quite friendly with the manager of this store, and they always let me know if they've got new games in, because then you are the first to pick through these. As you can see here, a copy of Mario Kart for the Wii. This sold in the store for £2.50 and of course trades into CX for £10. I was quite tempted to pick up Scarface for the Wii if that had been for any other console I picked up, as it is a game that's getting a little bit more valuable. Once again, the charity shop had not let me down. A Fred Perry shirt and a copy of Mario Kart Wii for just over £5. You can't go wrong with that one. Just down the road is the second and only other charity shop in Long Stratton. I have had some very good luck with this one as well. This is where I managed to pick up that GameCube with Zelda for just £30. Again, I've got quite friendly with some of the staff in here, and it will be a shame to not be visiting quite as often, but it's just always good to have one last hunt. So, fingers crossed we find something good in here for our last trip for the foreseeable future. Let's find out. Sadly, there was only a very small selection of games in the store, but one of the strange things about this shop is the weird selection of games they always get in. Obviously, you kind of get your classics, but then you get kind of the sports games you don't see as often, such as NHL Sports 2K7, which I don't think I've seen very often, and it's the weird Wii games you get in here, like Glee Karaoke Revolution. I've never seen most of the Wii games I see in this store. Obviously, you've got your Just Dances, which used to trade in quite well and don't really trade in very often now, and a classic in Max Payne for the PlayStation 2, which sadly doesn't hold much trading credit. The next town I visit this time was Attleborough. Only a small amount of games in this first store, but a hidden gem for trading. Just Dance Disney Party. I paid £2 for this, and this trades into CX for £6. So a very good find, and definitely one to keep an eye out for in the future. The next store along had a couple of Xbox One games, and the thing was, I probably would have picked up Forza Horizon 2 to trade in. I'd have only made £1 or so on trading, but the problem was the boxes were sealed shut with sellotape, and I couldn't check the disc, and I didn't want to take the risk. The next town I visited this week was Thetford, and let me know in the comments down below, would you have picked up this Xbox 360 bundle for £60? It has the console there, a lot of games, 2 controllers. It looked to be in pretty good condition, and I think this had been checked and tested. So let me know, would you have picked this up for £60, either for your collection or to trade in? That's what I was trying to toss up. Would it have been worth trading in? Also, let me know in the comments down below, would you have picked up this copy of Guitar Hero 5, which is supposedly brand new, for £20? Also, would you have picked up this Wii bundle? Would you have picked up just the games for £15? Or would you have added the console for £25? Let me know in the comments down below if you'd add this to the collection or try and trade it in. I'm not really sure. Our final port of call this week is the city of Norwich, a place I will definitely be hunting in a lot more now as I'll be working back again in the heart of the city. But herein lies the problem. Yes, it is a bigger area with more shops to hunt in, but because it has a bigger population, there is more people hunting and competition is fiercer. First store of the day, nothing really to see here, DVDs, but have you ever seen this many copies of one game in one place? I've maybe seen it with like Wii Fit or Brain Training, but why does this store have so many copies of Halo for the original Xbox? It is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. I have no idea why they had so many copies of Halo, but good for them. Recently, I've been looking a lot more for DVD box sets to trade into CX for in-store credit, and I would have thought this box set on the outside would have been worth a lot more. It's got about 1 million discs, but sadly it doesn't trade in for much more than the actual price of the items. So it is worth looking up DVD box sets before you just jump in. It's all about knowing the market. I know you shouldn't judge a vinyl by its cover, but if this cover is anything to go by, this is an absolutely amazing piece of vinyl. Sadly, I don't really know a lot about vinyl collecting other than the kind of genres of music I like, which I don't really see in charity shops that often, but something I want to look to get into. There definitely is a lot of money to be made from DVD box sets, but it's all about knowing which ones are worth picking up. And when I saw these absolutely huge boxes of ER, I knew I had to at least check these online. And the strange thing is, only one of these is really worth taking into CX, but here lies the problem. Obviously, if you took these into CX, they're going to check every single disc, and I cannot be bothered to check every disc. This store also had quite a good selection of comic books, but this again is something I don't have amazing knowledge of. Normally I just have to literally judge them by the cover, and these were quite pricey. I was quite tempted by this Alita Battle Angel comic, as I think that is an absolutely underrated film, which is absolutely fantastic, and I really hope that gets the sequel it deserves. If you haven't watched it, I definitely recommend checking out the underrated movie. This, for me, is one of the best places to hunt in the whole of Norwich for literally anything. They have a little bit of everything. This is Aladdin's Cave. It is like a dealer antiques market, and as I say, they have everything, including these vintage bubble bath bottles. That's right, if you are a vintage bubble bath bottle collector, get yourself to Aladdin's Cave in Norwich. This place has to be seen to be believed. It is absolutely crazy, and so glad to be working nearby. Every time I come in, I am blown away by the quality of Star Wars memorabilia in this store. They have so many Star Wars toys, like from over the past 20 or 30 years, including some really awesome vintage bits. But of course they have video games. This is one of my favourite kiosks because they have video games and general retro awesomeness, stuff that you just don't see anywhere else, and it is all really well priced. That is one of the best things about this place. But heads up, they do only take cash, but they have a little bit of everything, and that is what I love about this. We have NES stuff, Saturn stuff, LCD games, old electronic games, games in the box still. There's just so much cool stuff here, and even wrestling figures. It just blows me away how somebody has collected these things and is selling them in one kiosk, and it is really cool. I was especially interested in these Master System games and this dual turbo. It's a wireless remote system for the SNES. I have never ever seen this before. This is what I love about these kind of weird antique stores. There's stuff here you've never seen before. I was very tempted by this £5 Master System game you can see here, as I think it's Rambo. And for £5, that's a bargain. Another cabinet had a really good supply of Mega Drive games. Sadly, I did have most of these in my collection already. You can see a couple of GameCube games there. Again, I had them. And sadly, I did have all of these Wii U games already in my collection. But trust me, now is the time to buy Wii U before the price rises. Trust me, it will rise. I did ask about these NES games, as they may not have been boxed, but they were complete with the manuals. But sadly, these were part of a bundle with the console, which was a very good deal, to be fair. But I was looking for the loose games, as I already have the console in my collection. But this was a really nice example of a NES. It was in really good condition. There was just so much good stuff here. They had some really good deals on bundles of consoles. As you can see here, we have a Mega Drive bundle, and I think these are good prices, but let me know in the comments down below. One price I did not think was very good was for this kind of clone system. You can basically pick this up on Amazon for a lot less than this. I can understand these consoles. I know why some people would prefer these, as they just go straight in via HDMI, but it's not really for me. There was also a really good selection of strategy guides in the store, and you know me, I love my strategy guides. The only thing is, I think these all had a blanket price of about £5, and for me, part of the thrill of looking for strategy guides is getting that good deal at the car boot. Even though I was very tempted by this Saints Row strategy guide, it is one of my favourite franchises of all time. I need this one in the collection. As I've said, I don't have the greatest knowledge of comic books, and I was totally and utterly overwhelmed by how many they had here. I just didn't even know where to start diving into these. But looking in front, there was this box, and now I did spy this World of Warcraft strategy guide. So, of course, I had to delve in, see if there's any more strategy guides hiding in there. There was another World of Warcraft one, but sadly, nothing else to find. Out of all the items I had seen, the one thing that stood out for me was that copy of Rambo on the Master System. So yes, for £5 I was definitely going to pick that up. In CX, that game is substantially more expensive. So yeah, I thought I'd have a look, see what the condition is like. But this is one of the things with these kind of booths. Sometimes it is hard to see what you were getting. As it turned out, it's actually a copy of Rampart on the Master System, which does sell on CX for just £1 more, but sadly this copy was in pretty rough condition, so I did decide to leave it behind. But it just goes to show, even I sometimes have little flaws in my gaming knowledge, and things are not always what they seem. Our next stop was just down the road, and this place is amazing as it's stacked from floor to ceiling. But the only thing is, sometimes it is a little bit overpriced. As you can see here, this copy of Tomb Raider 3 for the PC CD-ROM I think was £10, which I think is quite a lot for this item. I was very tempted by this copy of Marvel Zombies. It was only £6 and it sells on Amazon for quite a lot more. I think especially as they are going to be adapting this into a series soon, this comic is definitely going to go up in value. Another console bundle, so again I'll ask the question, would you have picked up this Wii bundle for £25? Comment below. For me personally, I did leave it behind, as I think the Wii bundles are getting harder to sell, and I had lockdown I was selling Wiis like hotcakes. This is something I'm really gutted that I did leave behind, this copy of Populous Big Box PC, but it was £10, which I think is quite a lot. For £5 I'd have picked this up in a heartbeat. This final place is somewhere I've never hunted before, and this is on Norwich Market. I can't believe I've lived in Norwich this long and never looked on the market for games, as this stall had some really good prices on stuff. It had some very overpriced stuff as well, but some of their prices were really good, and they had a really large selection of games. And yeah, it just goes to show, even if you've been living somewhere for years, there's always new places to discover. And I just love flicking through these, because you find bargains such as this Guitar Hero Aerosmith for just £1. I know it's not the most expensive game of all time, but I just never see this one in CX. I just really wanted to complete my Xbox 360 collection of Guitar Hero games. It just goes to show, you have to look everywhere. Going inside, they had a really good selection of PlayStation 3 games. Sadly, there was nothing I needed here. I think the PS3 is a console I need to collect for more, but I just don't see games that often. If you wanted DVDs, though, they had literally stacked above the ceiling. Not even floor to ceiling, they were stacked into the ceiling. Also, things were hiding here. Like you can see up here in the corner, I nearly missed these PlayStation 1 games. Sadly, this Final Fantasy game was not complete, which was absolutely gutting. A black label Final Fantasy game in this good condition, I'd have definitely picked up. There you have it then, the end of one era and the start of another. I think hunting in Norwich is going to be harder, but I think there's better things out there to find. And trust me, if there are games and retro awesomeness out there, I will find them. There we have it then, folks, out with the old and in with the new, and there's just so many good places to hunt around here. But the thing is, even with all of these places to hunt, that doesn't mean you are going to score every time you go out there. I think sometimes some of these videos give people unrealistic expectations of what to expect. So I must have been around 30, 40 stores today, and I picked up 2 games. The thing is, folks, you win some, you lose some. I picked up 2 games today. One to trade, one to the collection. So I picked up Mario Kart for the Wii for £2.50. That'll trade into CX for £9. And I've also picked up Guitar Hero Aerosmith for £1. This is a £2.50 game in CX. This is more sometimes what the face of game hunting looks like. It's hard out there, folks. You have to put in the work, and sometimes you will have weeks like this, but do not get disheartened. Just keep hunting. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button. Please consider subscribing. And as always, keep playing the game. See y'all soon.